Hey there, I am Aimee here, and welcome to my podcast. We've revamped it. If you had listened last year, you'll notice it's a little bit different now. We are brought to you by Carla Wellness, as always. We are powered by them. If you want to live life limitless, check out Carla Wellness. It's currently open in Townsville. It is a franchise. So if you are interested in looking at the business, then head to the website www.carlawellness.com.au. It's KALA Wellness. Check out all the social media pages as well for any extra information. I have the absolute pleasure of talking to absolutely amazing human beings. And I know I just said absolutely twice there, but you know what? The people that I get to speak to truly are amazing. I speak with people who are making an impact in the world in a really positive way. I speak to people who are making it their life mission to create positive change in the world in whatever area or whatever field they're a part of. And it's really exciting to get to speak to people from all walks of life, people who are doing all sorts of different things. People who are marching to the beat of the same drum that I am, who are just out in the world, really trying to create a positive impact and see people smile, see people change their lives. That's a really big part of why I do what I do. And I get to share stories of people who are out there creating the same thing. So enjoy. I hope you take something away from it. I hope you find some value in what it is that we put together. And as always, if you have questions or if you have someone that you really want me to speak to or reach out to, then send us a message and let me know. So this is the first time that we're sitting down together on the couch doing a podcast. I have, for anyone who's listening and not watching, or for anyone who's watching and doesn't know, this is Dion, my husband. We're doing a little bit of I suppose, could call it a series. Will it be a series? We'll say that it's a series to start with.
We'll see how episode one goes.
We'll see if we don't end up yelling at each other in the
take it one episode at a time. Right?
So I really wanted to do a few chats on relationships, because I do get a lot of people in to see me, and one of the big things that we talk about is relationships and what is a healthy relationship. And I feel like we have a really healthy relationship, given the relationships that we've had in the past haven't been so healthy. I guess I reference our relationship a lot. Not that it's perfect, because I don't think that the perfect relationship exists. I think if you're content and you're comfortable and you're safe, then that I would say, if someone said to me, what's the definition of a perfect relationship? I would say that if you feel content, you feel safe, and comfortable, that would be a perfect relationship.
And it's always a work in progress. It's that.
Absolutely. But individually, it's a work in progress. Like you're always working on yourself as an individual. So, by natural consequence of that, you're always working on your relationship as a couple. And then if you have children, if you have a family, then you're working on those things as well. So I wanted to start today with, I guess, kind of go right down to the start, like where a relationship forms and what does it look like to form a healthy relationship? What is the foundation or the basis of a really healthy relationship, and how do people get that? How do you know that you've got a really healthy foundation for your relationship, and what is it? What is the foundation of a good relationship?
To me, I think that the foundation starts with a friendship. It's I guess finding that person that is your best friend that you want to spend all this time with, because to start with the passion, everything else can be one side of it. But if that person's not your best friend, you're soon going to find that the passion, the attraction, everything else will go by the wayside, and you'll have all your differences, and everything else will outweigh the good. Whereas if you've got both the passion, the attraction, and the person that you're wanting to be with is your best friend, then that's that solid base.
What comes first? Passion, attraction, friendship?
I think attraction attraction is what initially will draw you to someone, but it's not the be or end all. You can not initially probably be that instantly attracted to someone, but once you start talking to them, that attraction is drawn further in. You know, it's not just physical. It's being able to, when you listen to someone and you hear what they're passionate about, what they're, you know, whether you connect with that person is also that connection as well. That's also attractive.
So can you be friends with someone and not be attracted to them?
Absolutely.
Do you think that, like, when you're, so say, you know, you go on a date with someone, you go on a first date, and it might not necessarily be, like, ours wasn't really labeled. I don't think we labeled it as a date as such. Now I think we label it as, yes, that was a date, but it was I don't know, you don't call it was like a catch up. It was like, yeah, it was coffee.
Don't have a coffee, which can you look at it as a date, or you can, it depends on whether you want to put pressure onto something that doesn't need to be. It could be as simple as a half-hour coffee that yeah, we don't really hit it off, and thanks for the coffee and see you later. Or it can turn into dinner and yeah, the rest of your life. So
do you think that some people can, like, go and have, okay, so all right. So if you looked at it as it's not necessarily a date, like if you could give someone advice on dating and you could go, don't go out for a date, go out with the purpose of, I'm just meeting someone and getting to know them. So take that pressure off of the date label.
I mean, I'm definitely no expert because I've generally been in long-term relationships, so you're not in the dating game or anything, but I found that the easiest way was to be able to just not have that pressure. You literally got asked to go out for a coffee, you go, great, that'd be fantastic. Didn't think any more of it, didn't put any more pressure on it other than, oh, I've just got to be there at that time, and still managed to be at the wrong place. But
But like, I don't know. I think for you to have that, you know, desire to go and catch up with someone, that there has to be some sort of attraction, does there not?
I mean, if you're going there to meet a friend and not necessarily, you know.
So it kind of is labeled as, it is labeled as a date, because if you weren't attracted to someone, like the idea of going and having coffee with them would purely be, oh, you know, it's more of a, almost like a business, like a meeting. It's not a, hey, I'm going to get to know you. It's, hey, we're catching up, we're going to have like a meeting as such. I don't know, like I have guy friends that I go and catch up with and I have coffees with, and you have, you know, girlfriends that you go and catch up with and you have coffee or dinner or lunch or whatever it is.
But I also have guy friends, which I put it into the same category there, though, that it's not that you need to be attracted to them. Yeah, that's what I mean. You attracted to them? That's what I mean. You don't necessarily need to be attracted to the guy or the girl to want to spend time with them, because it's something about them, though, that you want to be around. It doesn't necessarily mean that you want to spend the rest of your life with them and take any further than the friendship, but it's something about being around them and what they, I guess bring to you and
the value that they add to the relationship.
Yeah, you know, that saying, like one of our friends said the other day, that your wife's better with you in it. Like it's that kind of thing where it's you want to be around that person, but you don't necessarily want to be with them. Yeah.
I think being able to talk is probably like the biggest like box that you need to tick, really, isn't it?
Communication
when you're talking about foundation of a relationship.
Communication is 100% key. I think, being able to communicate early in a relationship, and I guess it differs too. If you're young, starting out, it's going to be different.
You don't know how to talk, do you?
No.
Unless you're brought up in that family, and I guess you could really kind of pull all the layers off this thing and go, okay, well, in order to have a really healthy relationship, you need to understand what really healthy, open, honest communication is. And I would go as far to say is there aren't too many people who know how to have a really open, honest, vulnerable conversation.
Absolutely.
Because they're just not, they're
Absolutely.
not caught up in that.
And we learn every day with things that come up that you go, I could have done that better, and I will do that better, because it's a lesson that you've just taken out of it. So I think as long as you're willing to take on those lessons and learn from it, then you can be a better communicator with your partner, with your friends, with anything else, by taking on those lessons and not just continue to do the same thing no matter what, because that's what you've always done. If you're willing to see that there's better ways to communicate, and you get, I guess, better results for everybody, then it's a positive step forward.
Do you have to be vulnerable?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's tough. That's very tough.
Tell me about your battle with vulnerability.
No, it's I guess that you're putting yourself out there, that fear of the rejection, the fear of anything like that. It shouldn't be and doesn't need to be. And I guess the older I get, the more I see that if I put myself out there and I'm honest and truthful and it gets knocked down, well, that's the way it's meant to be. That's okay. I'm okay with that.
Do you think some people get into, I'm going to use the word a pickle? They get into a situation where they might not, initially they'll go in and they're not prepared to be truly vulnerable and really open and honest with not only with themselves, but with the person that they're potentially dating, or, in that sort of courting at the start of a relationship where you are, getting to know each other. Do you think people become stuck when they don't go down that avenue of vulnerability, and then they realize, like, oh, actually this person thinks that I'm someone else, or they haven't completely been honest with themselves really, and they find that it's like, well, now I'm stuck, now I'm trapped, because I've been living this or telling this story, that
trying to be a person you think they want, not
that they think that they, because I know I did that, like my earlier days of dating and relationships, I had no fucking idea, like none.
Most of us.
Like I thought that in order for me to be accepted and for me to be liked, that I needed to look a certain way and I needed to act a certain way. And like, I remember, oh God, just doing some really dumb stuff because I wanted so badly to be accepted and to be liked. And that comes all the way back to my upbringing and mum drilling into me, well, if you want to be liked, then you need to do this and you need to do that.
Conform
you need to conform. And I wish, like, I'm so conscious of not doing it with my kids. Like, I don't want them to be conformists. I don't want them to
be themselves.
I want them to be themselves. Like, I look at Jackson and my eldest, and he's so sensitive, and I love that about him, and it's just such a beautiful quality, and I really want to foster that and nurture that within him. And he gets upset sometimes when other kids will tease him about him being so sensitive, and I'm like, mate, that's such a good quality, because you feel things, you have feelings, you're expressive in your emotions. And I can't tell you how many people I come across that do not know how to be expressive in their emotions, and they don't feel safe to do that. And I feel like that's an entirely different topic altogether. But just feeling safe to be yourself, and I suppose that comes down to knowing yourself.
Well, it's like we got back to earlier there, where it was depending on your age that you're going into, the conversations that you'll have starting out a relationship will be different to, like, what I'm referring to is when we met, we'd already been in long-term relationships, married, and going into it, our both were in agreement that if you had deal breakers, then it's okay, nice to meet you, and we won't continue, because there's certain things that would have prevented us from going further if one person said, oh no, I don't want to have kids, and the other one did, then that's a deal breaker, because you can battle that around all you want, but eventually it's going to be it's going to come back to bite you.
Do you think if you don't have those conversations, though, like I said, you get into this position where you're stuck and, you know, feelings are involved and whatever else, and you go, well, actually, I don't want to have children.
But that's what I mean, though. Like, depending on, you're not going to have a conversation like that at 18 years old. You know, they're starting out and they're not
I suppose at
thinking
18,
about.
neither of them are.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, you don't need to have those conversations then, but you've still got to be true to yourself, even back at 18. Like, you're trying, not like what you said when you were young, you were trying to be somebody else, or
I just wanted to be loved.
And that only lasts, but it only lasts for so long. You can only keep that facade up for so long before you found out, and then this person's like, you weren't like this at the start. You know, like, why are you now like this? It's because you were putting on a front.
Well, then you feel trapped.
It's that, it's
and
that
we're
honeymoon
humans.
thing.
We don't like to feel like we don't have variety, we don't have options, and you know, then we get into this situation like what I had. You know, I was 20 when I met my ex-husband that I spent 8 years with. Like, I feel like I didn't know myself until I was 28 when I left him, and I was like, okay, I need to kind of have a look at me and work on myself. And that's when I would say I didn't actually love myself, and I didn't actually know who I was until I was 28, 29. You know, you're learning and you're growing as an individual, but you're learning and you're growing as a couple as well. And if you're not, you know, in that mindset of, well, we're learning and growing together, I think, you know, sometimes people
grow apart.
Because if you're not growing together, you're growing apart. And if you're not
honest from the start, and
even, you know, like, people can change, right? You can be one person going into a relationship and go, no, these are my goals, these are my ambitions, these are my dreams. And then you can get 5 years down the track, or even 2 years into it, and something happens and you go, well, actually, no, I changed my mind. And being able to just, again, communicate that. And, you know, communication for me really is key. It's being able to feel comfortable and safe enough to go to that place with someone to say, hey, actually, all this stuff that I thought was me and the way that I was going, I changed my mind. I don't want that anymore. But then also feeling safe enough and comfortable enough to make that call within your relationship, whether that's something that you both want to grow together with, or if you both want different things. Life happens, things change. And I think if we feel safe enough to just say, you know what, I don't want this life anymore, and just accept that sometimes things change and sometimes things don't work out, and you can have a really healthy separation because you've just changed your mind.
It's not just your mind. What you were talking about before is that growth. Like, and if only one person's growing within a relationship, and it creates a divide that is no longer what you had at the start, then there is a divide. I guess it's that early on conversation, though, of do you want to do this as well? Do you have the same? Do you have the same, like, it doesn't have to be the same goals, but the same ability to grow and to I guess be at the same, I'm not sure level is the right word, but
because we check in often.
Still be that same person to each other. Because if you're not, and you're not willing to grow and not wanting to do anything, and you're stagnant in that same thing, and you're happy there, then that's great. You can be happy there. And if the other person is motivated, wants to grow, wants to change, and it doesn't still align together, then that's okay. That's two choices that are okay. But it needs to be communicated that it may not be the same relationship as what you went in with. And what I've learned over the times is it is okay that if you're not, you don't have to force something to make it work. If both still want it to work, then yes, you work on a relationship and you make those changes because like you said, we check in, and if something needs to happen because the other person is feeling like it's not happening in a certain area of whatever it might be, communication could be one. Then yes, we spend that time because we want to make it better and not allow it to fester and to become something that it doesn't need to be.
I think we've got some really good, you know, boundaries in place with our relationship as well, that we've, you know, essentially had that sit down conversation where we've given each other permission to call each other on our crap. So, you know, if you're in a situation where I can see that maybe you're kind of, you know, bubbling, and I'll go, do you need 5 minutes? Do you need to go and do whatever it is you need to do to kind of just chill out for a bit? And you might not like that I've said that. You might go, how dare you call me on my shit, and kind of walk off. But then you'll always come back and you'll go, no, I can recognize what you were saying. And likewise, there will be moments where I might be pissed off about something, and you'll go, I think you need 5 minutes, or I think you need to go and have a breather, or you'll say, hun.
That sounds right.
Yeah. You'll go, hun, this is what you talk to people about. What do you need right now? Because your mood is affecting everyone. And it does. If you're crapped up, like, energy transfer is no longer this thing where we go, oh, you know, it's just woo hocus pocus nonsense. No, energy transfer is real. And if you're annoyed and you're letting something fester, that affects everyone and everything around you. So we've become very comfortable with calling each other on our crap, but that stemmed from having that conversation. Like, it was quite literally a sit down conversation on, I'm going to call you on your crap and you have permission to call me on mine, and we're going to call each other out, because it's not acceptable to be cranky at something and not
you can feel what you feel.
Absolutely.
And
you need to feel.
Well, we've done that for each other, and we've said, you do what you need to do right now.
Yeah.
But then it gets past the point of that, and when it starts affecting everybody around you, that's when we may have to step in and saying to the other person that, yep, I understand. You've had your time to be able to feel what you need to feel in the process, but it's starting to now affect everybody.
Yeah.
What do you need? What do you need?
Rein it in. Yeah. What do you need me to do right now?
What can we do to? And
sometimes that's having a really difficult conversation, and it's saying, this is what's affecting me. And if you don't have that safety, that freedom, that comfort to sit down with someone and say, like, we've had conversations where I've said to you, I'm bored. And that's not necessarily that I'm just bored in our relationship. I've been bored with all the stuff. And you know, this has been a recent thing where you've identified and you've gone, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this really dumb stuff? And it was because I was trying to balance out that need for variety in my life. And, you know, I've said to you, okay, well, this is what I need. Like, that's a hard conversation if you're not comfortable, and if you're not in a relationship where you know the other person is going to be open to you saying, hey, I'm bored, we need to do more stuff together, and we need to have more time together to fill that void of what is it that I'm missing.
I guess, to me, I don't take it personally, because no, I don't, because unless you tell me this, I'm not a mind reader. I haven't got your abilities to be able to read minds. So I
don't tell everyone that.
No, I honestly, I don't feel like that's on me. That's on your partner, or to tell you. Yeah. Once they've expressed it, though, then it's on me to be able to then take that on board and not take it personally and start kicking stones and go, well, you know,
you don't like me anymore.
Yeah, you don't like this and you don't like that. It's then a growth thing of being able to go, cool, what can we do to put things in place? And we do. We have to use a calendar all the time because everything's so busy. But for now, that works. Yeah. That works, because once it's in there, then, and I look forward to it. It's things that you look forward to then, because it's a time that we've set aside.
Well, like the other night, we had a spontaneous night where I was like, I'm going for a run. And then I was like, no, I really need to go out with you and have dinner and just be Aimee and Dion and not mum and dad and
husband and wife.
And have that. And, you know, like we said before, that comes down to that growth of, hey, I'm going to bring this up with you, and it's difficult for me to bring it up with you. We have that foundation of, we've spoken to each other about, you need to bring things up because I can't read your mind. And in order for us to move forward, you know, as a really strong unit as a couple, then that's your decision. Like, okay, well, what are you going to do with this information that I'm going to give to you, and vice versa? You know, there's been times where you've said to me, hun, you know, I'm missing out on intimacy with you because you work all day and you're tired, and then we're missing that. Hey,
you're working at night
and
too.
I'm working at, and I just worked all the time.
Yeah.
And you've said I'm missing that connection with you, and so again, that's up to me then to go, okay, well, do I want to participate in the relationship? Do I want to honor what you're asking me? Because I still have that choice of, okay, I can hear what you're saying. This is my perspective on it, or this is my view on it. How do I validate what you're saying, or just go, no, I completely disagree, and this is not where it's going for me. And again, it's that freedom of, well, do you want to make this work, or do you not want to make this work? I think, I come across so many people who they'll look at what we have, or they'll look at what someone else has, and they say, oh, that's the perfect relationship. Or, I have some of my friends call you a unicorn. And I'm like, he's not perfect. But they're just seeing the outside of it. They're not seeing all of the hard work, all of the things that we've laid down, everything that we've laid down in our really, really strong foundation that give us the relationship that we've got, because we've been willing to go to that place with each other where we are brutally honest, where we do say what we're feeling, what we're thinking, and full well knowing that at any point either of us could go, hey, you know what, that's not the direction of my life anymore, and we need to separate.
Yep.
Which is why we check in. I'll say to you, hey, I've got this other crazy idea. I'm checking in with you. Are you still on this train ride with me, or are you jumping off?
It's a coming from, I think on that conversation there is a must in our relationship, because you're someone that is creative and I think every entrepreneur needs to be. If you haven't got that creative ability, you're not going to be a successful entrepreneur. I've come up through different upbringing of not, it wasn't even a thought in my mind to be able to do the things that Aimee comes up with. So it's been a steep learning curve for me along that path. But because Aimee is checking in with me regularly, I feel like I'm learning. I'm reading now. I'm doing more reading to be able to understand, and once again, not get left behind, to try and educate myself on I guess the path that people need to take to make this kind of stuff work. It's
not everyone's willing to do it though.
No, they're not. And it's scary, it's exciting, it's everything all rolled into one. But it's definitely the key is to have that conversation and to check in and make sure that the other person, and at times I've just said, that idea I don't like because of this, and this. And you've either accepted it or you
cracked shits about it.
Yeah, but then accepted it. Then accepted it.
Yep.
And I mean, not many people like to hear no, but sometimes you need to. And I guess in a sense, it works for us because you are so creative and have these weird, wonderful ideas. I think I'm more of a lateral thinker.
Are you looking for like sounding board?
No,
are you an anchor? Or
no. I'm more grounded, I think. Grounded is probably the right word. I think if you had two of us, if we were both, we'd be broke years ago. So yeah, no, just having that ability to bounce. I've learned to never shut a door on anything until it's fully heard, because some things you might hear and you're like, yep, I'll take a while to let that one sink in, because it seems
let me sit with this. And that's not even from a me coming to you with an idea on a business or investment or anything like that. That's sometimes an idea on our relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah. and even then I have to, let me think, let me sit with it.
No,
Because
we both do that.
I find if you're rushing in to an answer to a question that's important, then you're not really
Giving it the space,
the
and
thought that
time.
it needs.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it needs to be a decision that, especially some of these things are big and have consequences. So, yes, but some are bigger consequences than others.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. If you're not giving it that time to process it and have a think about it, and that's why I say to you, I just say, let me think of it, and I'll get back to you. I do. I always go back and make sure that I've fully spoken to you in depth about my thoughts on it, so that way we move forward as one.
And once again, that comes down to building that foundation that we've built, that we know that we can go to each other with whatever it is. And I like to, like, I think I feel like I'm much better at it now, but definitely at the start of our relationship, like I struggled to talk to you because my conditioning and my programming and my upbringing was, we don't talk. We don't talk about that stuff. There's a door slammed in your face, and you're not heard, you're not validated, you mean nothing.
You get shut down.
You get shut down. And so I found, for me to kind of really honor that value and that boundary that we'd set, I had to, if it was difficult for me to talk about, I found that I had to text message you first, because like Dion's a talker, right? Like he wants to talk things out, and I sometimes in the past would really struggle to articulate in a verbal conversation the things that I wanted to get out. So I would text you and I would say, like, hey, I need to talk to you about blah, 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 blah. And I would detail it. And then like I would finish it off with saying, now I know that you want to talk about this, but I needed to get it out and I needed to get everything off my chest. So I would text it to you. And like I say, I feel like I've become a lot better now. Like I will just talk to you, but I will always frame my conversations with you, and I will say, I need to talk to you about something, and it's hard for me to talk to you about it.
Yeah, there's a lot less text now. It's it's come a long way, but that process worked earlier on. That worked.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, knowing the person and knowing how everybody communicates.
Yeah.
We communicate differently, or better in some terms, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah.
But that was best of both worlds. It gave you the ability to get what you wanted out in Word, and I could then take the time to read it and not have to respond straight away.
Yeah.
And then we go back and talk. And yes, these days it's definitely developed into more of a ability, because I think that I'm not going to shut you down. I'm not going to.
But and then that's that safety thing that we've been talking about. Like I feel so safe that I know I can go to you with absolutely anything, and it might be the craziest idea that I've had, and I know that I can just go, hey, I know this is crazy, but blah 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 blah, and you'll go, yeah, that's pretty crazy, but and yeah. Oh, he says, go and speak to your consultant about it. And I'll go, oh, okay. What does Jeff think? Jeff's part of my relationship now.
we've got a third a business anyway.
Another sounding with this business. Yeah, not so much relationship, but when you do what I do, they are one and the same, and they affect each other. And what I do from a business perspective will affect my relationship, and what I'm doing in my relationship will affect my business. And they are so closely, they're married. My business and my marriage are together, because okay, so I have this policy with people who come on board with us, that the door is open, and it's always open. And I don't believe that you can leave your stuff at home, because you're so in it that it's very, very hard to go, I'm just going to leave that over there and I'm not going to touch it while I'm at work, because you're still a human. You're still the same person. You are still Dion or Aimee or, any of the people that we have working with us in our organization, that you just can't break away from it. It will affect you. It's energy. It sits there in the back of your mind, and it festers and it lingers. And
we talked about productivity the other day at work.
Yeah.
And that would lead straight to that you think that you're able to leave it there, come to work.
It's going to affect your level of productivity.
Yes.
Yep.
You're not going to perform it at a level that you need to for that day, because it's always just festering in the back there that you're still going to have to deal with that, and you're still going to have to, it's there. And, and
it's there waiting for you as soon as you walk out the door, and it's like, oh, do I have to pick that up and deal with it?
It's taking away from what you should be focusing on for the day.
So I really think communication is the key. That kind of, it's like you've got like an old castle and they have the moats around them. It's like communication is the drawbridge that goes down. Like you don't get to go to the castle unless you pull that drawbridge of communication down. You don't get to have that cool stuff inside there unless you've worked this out first. Otherwise, you're swimming in the moat with the crocodiles. Is that a good analogy? I like that one. I've never used that before.
Just come to you.
Just, these things just happen spontaneously. I like to talk in analogies. Yeah. I think that's a good one. I'll keep it for now. I'll just put it in my pocket for next time. But that's just the way that I see it. Is you just need to be able to talk and just go, you know what? I'm going to talk without judgment.
How many things though have been blown way out of proportion by not talking about it? Like
because it's the story you tell yourself. Yes, your ego gets in the way, and it goes, they're going to hate that, or they're going to leave you, or they're going to not like you, or they're going to say this about you. But ego jumps in, and it's like, the story I'm going to give you, so you don't talk about that thing, and then we go down the path of anxiety, because it's like, oh my God, I can't say this, and blah blah blah, and I can't do that, and I can't. If you just go and have the conversation, you actually skip all of the rubbish of anxiety and all of that stuff.
Even to the point though of not getting the words from the horse's mouth. So you've heard something, or something's been whispered around, and you build up in your head that that's happened, and now this person's going to do this, and it leads down about 3 different pathways. Whereas if you're open enough to be able to talk to the person, whether it's your partner or directly, and say, hey, this is said, or I've heard this, get it from them. You've probably null and void everything, because it's either a miscommunication or it's not, and you're able to get it from them, and then you can start dealing with it. It's the ability to hit things where, like, right where it starts, not let things.
You still have to have that base of being open and honest, because I could do that with you. I could come to you and say, hey, such and such has said this, what's the deal? No way in the world would I be able to do that have done that, or still do that with my ex-husband, because there's no foundation of communication there. There's none.
And I think it's the way you talk to each other as well. If you go in with an accusing tone, then you're already lost that conversation. And instead of
defensive right from the get-go.
Instead of being able to broach it with asking, not accusing, I guess is the right thing. So flip it around,
put the shoe on your foot, and go, how would I like this situation approached if it was me? And go in and say, hey, this has been said. What's
and you still get it wrong, but it's better than
you could get it wrong.
No, that's right. And I guess when you get to the bottom of it, it's not wrong, because if you've been able to deal with it, and it's no longer an issue because you're out and open with it, then you've had a win.
It might not be an issue at all. Someone could have misheard something, and
100%.
Communication.
Yeah.
It's a drawbridge.
Yeah.
It's the drawbridge over the moat that goes into the relationship. I'm going to use it from now on. Well, thank you for sitting down and doing this
Very
with
welcome.
me. I think, we'll, I don't know, we might see what will we talk about next time. I might put it out to everyone else and see what they say. So if you're listening on any of the socials, send us a little message. What do you want us to talk about? Everything is on the table. I'm just going to put that out there.
Oh, look,
what's off the table? What don't you want to talk about?
I think everything we talked about, it's once again just an open conversation. So if people are struggling with things in their relationship, and if we can put any insight into it, then we're definitely not perfect, but if we can nut it out together.
I'm perfect. I'm perfectly imperfect.
Perfectly imperfect. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks. That was fun. We'll do it again sometime soon. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening in. If you enjoyed it, please share it. Don't keep us a secret. Please share the Aimee Hair podcast with everyone you know. If you have any questions about our guest today, then please look for the links and reach out to them, and have an amazing day.